You introduce me? Go ahead, introduce me.
You too. You go.
I can just go?
Just go.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm John Wax with SNAP NHD, Natural Hazard Disclosures. I've been doing this for 30 years and I'm here to answer your questions. I'm going to present on NHD reports and some of the things that has happened now because of the fires and how best to navigate that. Okay, right in front of you, if you haven't grabbed one, they're in the front table, are our services. Okay, we have special pricing for you. It's $84.95 for the premium report. Okay, so you do have special pricing. For subdivisions, there's special pricing for multi-units and $140 for the optional wildfire report. And we're the only ones with the free renters report. The renters report, it is required for leases. Okay, so any sale of real property in California requires an NHD and tax report. And for the renters reports, it's a flood zone only report. We give you in out for special flood and dam inundation. We also deal with commercial properties, and we have the special pricing for you on the premiums as well. It's $99.95. Okay, so that's that. Take a flyer. It'll be also available to you guys when you come into the office, or just email me. I'm here to help you, consult with you, and make sure you get what you need. Okay, and appropriately for your transactions. Next page, please. Okay, can we make that bigger? Can you see this? Okay, you can. Good. All right. This is the first page of the report. It's an NHD statement page. It's the one that has to get signed. We fill it out for you based on the information that we determine, based on, we own all our own data, including the tax report. So we put this together for you. It's always updated. So you're always going to get the most accurate information. So what it is, 2 flood, 2 fire, earthquake, fault, seismic hazard. Okay. And in there, they changed the fire part. Used to be just the very high fire and the wildland fire. They've added to the very high fire. So now they have state level very high fire. They have state level high fire and very high fire local level. And we check that off for you. It's right on there. It's right on there under the fire section.
What's the difference?
What's the difference between?
Those levels.
Okay, because the FHDS car form is only required for state level high or very high fire. But if it's in a high fire, you may get a notice from the local municipality saying, hey, you have to clear your brush. You're in a very high fire severity zone, because they wanted to know that. So that's why they changed it.
The lowest, the least dangerous is which one? The high fire?
No, let's put it this way. There are four different types, but the only 2 that you have to report on is very high and high. Very high and high is what you have to deal with the FHDS on the state level. The local level, they also now added the very high because people want to know what very high is. But it's CAR who's Cal Fire who's in charge of that form and requiring that to be there, and then CAR adopted it. Okay, and okay, so that's how that came into it. Does that answer? Does that kind of answer?
Yeah.
But moderate is another one, but the best one, the lowest, is you're not in a fire zone.
So like the homes that got burned, that would be a good example of the high fire.
Most likely they were in a very high or high fire zone.
Oh.
Most likely, okay, because they're up along the foothills, you know. So that's that. The floods, they're broken down into special flood and dam inundation. Dam inundation is like out here, there in the San Bernardino County, there is a dam. And when that dam breaks, it's 100% full and it breaks, there's at least 1% chance that 1 foot of water would be on the property from the full dam breaking. So that's how they figure out dam inundation. And it spreads out all the way to the Long Beach Harbor. Okay,
Wow.
so yeah, it's quite large. And these things change based on the topography, and then also occurrences. Like when we had the torrential rains, so flood zones that weren't there now are. Now, same thing with the fire. If they weren't in a fire zone, now they will be in a very high fire severity zone or high fire severity zone. So it's gonna be dealt differently, okay? On this
I
page,
know people that were living like in Pico Rivera and parts of El Monte were also, because there's that dam right there that goes along the ten.
sure,
Yeah. So
Sure.
They were talking about how old that infrastructure is already, there, that they need
Yeah.
to redo it. And-
Yeah. Excuse me 1 second. Hello, it's John. Yeah, can you call me back around 4? Because I'm doing a training class right now. Is that possible? Or 2? Yeah. Yes. We have a bed. We have all the equipment at home, everything. No, she hasn't. Well, it's tentative because we want to make sure that she's, possible discharge, but thank you. Thank you for calling. But yes, she has everything there. If you want, you can talk to my, her, caregiver who's in the room with her. Okay. Yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, bye. My wife is in the hospital. We're trying to get her home, and this is the caseworker calling. Sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so did I answer the questions? I think I answered all the questions then.
Should go back to the wildfire. If the report shows very high, behind, so can the buyer, like, if I look at this property, let's say if I receive this report, I can cancel escrow, right, if I don't want.
It can, you have 3 days to cancel escrow.
Yeah.
Yes, you do have 3 days to cancel escrow.
That's,
But again, if you really like the property, it's gonna be difficult to get insurance now, especially, I think there's like a 30-day or so moratorium on areas that are in very high fire areas in LA County and the burn, in the burn areas. So yes, but you can't cancel. You have 3 days, up to 3 days to cancel for things you see in the NHD report. Okay?
John, that thing that you said you were talking about, there's a wildfire advisory, right? It's in the Clark one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's what.
The wildfire advisory is gonna be in the changed booklet, which they haven't come out with. It's gonna be wildfire, it's gonna be climate change, and it's gonna show sea level rise. Those 3 new chapters are being added. It hasn't done yet, but I think sooner than later now because of all the devastation from the fires. But those 3 chapters are being added to the booklet. And I don't know if there's gonna be a new form for it, but
Booklet and NHD booklet, right?
yeah, the earthquake combined hazard booklet,
Interesting.
that it's gonna be added there. There may be requirements that CAR will add to the NHD report, and we'll have them in there if they're required, okay? This form has to be signed by the sellers. And what it says there is that you select in good faith a third-party provider, us. You haven't read the report or reviewed anything in there, and you sign off on it, the seller and the seller's agent. Okay? And then underneath there, it's the buyer signs off saying that I've read it, I understand it, and I received a copy of the report, which you give them. And just by sending an email to the client with it signed, it's as good as receipt, according to Gov. Hutchison from the California Association of Realtors. Okay?
But those signs a disclosure after your open escrow, right? Not
What's that?
before.
yes.
Yeah, after your open escrow, all those documents have to be disclosed.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Who orders the report?
You mean the NHD?
Who orders an NHD report?
Escrow, if I
We do.
I usually order it.
Agent.
Okay.
When do you order the report?
Right before escrow?
No,
No.
right, as soon as we get the listing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
that
I'll
is-
go a step further. You can order it and take it with you on a listing appointment. If you don't get it, let me know, we cancel. So there's no charge unless it closes escrow, but you can use the valuable information
Yeah.
to answer questions the client may have regarding taxes, regarding hazards, regarding a number of different things that they may have questions on. Okay,
I noticed that this kind of form in the past, it has like buyer's agent signature. And I think a couple of
It
years
has
ago,
what?
they eliminated.
the buyer's agent is not required unless your broker requires it. The only three by law that requires to be signed is the seller, the seller's agent, and the buyer.
Right, but many years ago.
Yeah,
You know.
it used to be the
Yeah.
buyer's agent too, but you
Right.
don't have to,
Okay.
as you can see. Okay,
That's why I
but
didn't-
that's the form. Any other questions on the form?
And the seller has to fill it out, right? You don't have to
No.
fill it out.
No. Does not do anything except have signatures and dates. This form, there's others we'll get to, but that one we do for you based on the information that we find, based on our investigation of it, based on our information that we own. So you're not buying part of it, and putting it together to make sure that you've got the most correct and accurate information. But yes, we fill that out for you. Okay, so you don't have to. Next page, I'm sorry, Red. Okay, we have a snapshot page. What it allows you to do in a glance to see if there's anything in the property that you have to pay attention to. And that's what this page is, okay? So here it says there's 2 state level, there's 4 additional disclosures, and then 2 city county that are in, as well as 1 environmental, and we'll get into environmental later. On this same page, can you go down a little bit, go to the bottom of the page of that one? No, not all the way. And, okay, we put, at the bottom of the page, it says, subject property is in a fire zone that may require the use of the form. Underneath there, we also, or above that, we tell you the property is not subject to a flood.
To a
Flood
special
hazard.
Special flood hazard.
Yeah, I can't read that far, but yes, flood hazard. So you get both of those items, which are key, because why? If it's in one of those, you're gonna have issues with possibly getting insurance. Or you're gonna have to get additional insurance, because if you're getting a loan on the property, lenders will require that. Okay, so that's what that is. Okay, next page, please. Okay, we have actual maps in the report. It's based on parcel data, so it's an actual square of the property. We don't do points. We do the square of the property. And if all it has to do is clip part of that parcel, we have to tell you it's in one of the zones, okay? And we have a legend underneath there that gives you the types of hazard that could be in contact or could be affected by. There's the legend. Next page. Okay, here is the, this is the AV 38 page. This is the page that has explanations of what AV 38 is. How do I navigate it? And it also tells you, it also gives you links to find out what defensible space is, and also what the, it also gives you links as to home hardening, okay? And we'll get through that.
What's the one?
What's that?
What was the last thing? you
Home
said?
hardening. So there's 2 parts to the FHDS. It's home hardening based on seller's knowledge, and then defensible space. And we'll deal with those appropriately, okay? So next page. Okay, here's your FHDS card form. The only information that we know is the property address. The rest of the information you will be filling in with your client. You are not to fill this out. This is the seller who fills it out with your guidance, okay? Because they're responsible. It is a contract, so it has to be signed, and we get to that part. Okay,
Seller.
What?
Just the seller.
No, both parties, seller and buyers sign it. It's because it's an agreement.
The seller fills it out.
Seller fills it out, seller and buyer sign off in agreement of it, okay? Remember, the first, number A, is home hardening. Home hardening is when a property's in a high or very high fire severity zone. And it's 1 to 4 units residential. A TDS is required for the property. And it's built before 2010. Why 2010? Because in 2010, the building codes changed. So if you did any remodeling, it's within home hardening guidelines they use that kind of materials and everything. Okay, so that's why they did 2010 when the building code. Number B, under 1B, deals with defensible space. So it's again, high or very high state level determined hazard zone. A TDS required, and it's 1 to 4 residential unit property. 2010 does not pertain to this part. It's just the home hardening. And then number C says, how do I go about finding out if my property's in a high or very high fire severity zone? You talk to a reputable NHD company, get the report, and talk to a reputable NHD representative, that's me, to help you fill that out and to negotiate it, provide you the appropriate information, okay? Okay, number two. Number 2 talks about, what is it there? Okay, this is the actual home hardening. We're going over it again. High or very high fire, state level information, TDS required, 1 to 4 units, and it's before, and it's before 2010. The bill was before 2010. It has the 6 questions there. Can you read it? Somebody can read it.
Which one?
Go with the 6 questions under
Rain
home
gutters
hardening.
without metal or non-combustible gutter covers.
Okay. Yes or no? Based on seller's knowledge. If he doesn't know, it's no. Okay, so go ahead, read them all.
The next one, or you want me to? from
Yeah,
six?
go ahead, read the next one.
Okay, defensible space disclosures and addendum.
No, the 6, there's 6 in a row.
If, that'll be if. Yeah, B1.
Oh, 2B, I'm sorry.
2B, yeah, we're not down to
2B,
3.
Fire hardening vulnerabilities, are you seller aware of the following features that may
Aware.
make the home vulnerable to wildfires and flying embers?
You understand that? Aware of. So they can only report on what they know, okay? This is the 3rd version of it. They may change again, but this is the 3rd version of it. Okay, read what's under B.
Number 1, eave, soft fit, and roof ventilation where the vents have openings in excess of 1/8 of an inch or are not flame and ember resistant.
That's the first one. Number 2.
Roof coverings made of untreated wood shingles or shakes.
Another one. Next one.
Combustible landscaping or other materials within 5 feet of the home and under the footprint of any attached deck.
Okay, that's called the fireman's protection space. So it's 5 feet, no vegetation, so that they can get right up to the property to fight fires. And also to eliminate any wildfire ignition sources. So that's what they're trying to do there. That's why the 5 foot. Next one, please.
Okay, single pane or non-tempered glass window.
Exactly. Single pane can burst and go bursting into a property, injuring people, causing more damage. Dual pane windows crack, but they may not blow out like it would. Next one, please.
Loose or missing bird stopping or roof flashing.
Okay, reason why that is, just like a lot of the things, birds want to build nests. What do they bring? Dry materials. And once they get in there, now they have an ignition source. So all you have is those embers that were flying all over the place. Here, Eaton and the
Palisades.
Palisades fire, They were flying hundreds of feet. All it had to do was catch on to anything in the attic and boom, that house was gone.
So if there is a house with birds building a nest, should we tell them to clean it?
Well, definitely that, but also make sure there isn't a place where they can get into the attic. So they have to have slats on there so they can't get in. And that's non-combustible slats on there so that they can't, it's for ventilation, but not for animals to get in there and live and bring in ignition sources. So you want to make sure. Next one, please.
Okay, so that's number 6. Okay, number 6 is rain gutters without metal or non-combustible gutter covers.
Okay, I'm not advocating for leaf guard, or leaf filter. I went and I did it myself. I had to go new insurance because my insurance company canceled me. Then I got another company and it canceled me. So then I got to Mercury. I have Mercury insurance. And I had to take pictures. I spent about 2.5 hours going and taking pictures and inside and out. And then they finally approved me. But I did a lot of work outside. I removed a shed that was dilapidated. I removed an alcove in the front of the house. I redid the roof. And I put the cover gutters on there. So, and those are lifetime. With leaf filter, they're lifetime and they're one-time transferable. So they come out anytime to check it, clean it, do it. You shouldn't have to because animals can't get on the roof and like eat fruit and then it goes in there and then it gets in and then it plugs it. No, you don't have that problem anymore. Okay, once you do that.
State
But-
Farm, State Farm is sending agents with drones to go over the houses
Exactly.
and examining whether the roofs are okay or not. If they're not, they're telling you to replace them, but they're not gonna cover for that replacement. You have to pay for it.
Right.
And they give you a certain amount of time. If not, they will cancel the policy.
That's true. That's true. Well, they must have looked at my house and probably said, hey, this house, we can't insure it. I did need work done. I got it done. It's expensive, but now I'm insured. So I don't have to, I'm not even in a very high fire severity zone. So they were hedging their bets because all that has to happen is just what happened. And now they've got a lot of claims. And unfortunately, there were a lot of people that were in that grace period and they didn't renew insurance. So now it's going to be a fight and there's going to be a lot of lawsuits saying, hey, you didn't give me enough time to, renew or find new insurance and stuff like that. So it's going to be a hassle. It's going to be a big deal.
What
as far as that
what about the cities that live in areas where there's a lot of wind, like Santa Clarita?
Okay.
Isn't that aren't they more susceptible to fires?
They are, and there are a lot of very high fire severity zones. And unfortunately, some of the condominiums projects are underinsured. So they're harder to sell. So that's got to be worked out. But yes, there are some because they have to pay a certain amount of money in for special projects or assessments and things like that. So that's one of the things that you have to take into consideration when bringing your clients to them. But you have to look at CC&Rs and check everything. You know what I mean? It's very important. Okay. All right. So now that's the home hardening. All right. Seller's knowledge. If he doesn't know, it's no. Now we're going to the defensible space part. That's number
3.
3C. Okay, so 3. We're under number 3, or is it
number 3?
3? Okay, so that right there, it asks, is there a local vegetation ordinance in place? Yes or no? Yes. LA County, everywhere, I think other counties too, but every county does have a defensible space ordinance in place. And what that means is the local fire departments and whatnot will come out, inspect properties, maybe by drone, but come out and say, here's a notice, remove the brush, reduce the risk, and you have X amount of time to do it. And if you don't do it, we're gonna do it for you. We'll bill the property and bless you. And if you don't pay that, we'll lien the property. So it goes on title. So what happens is now you're gonna delay because your title isn't clear. So these things you have to keep track of. Unfortunately, when you have someone who's moved out of the home, not getting the mail timely, that could be a thing. Or you have a stubborn seller and they just want to be in denial. You know, that could be too. Okay, so now we're gonna look at them. Someone read the different options up here, please.
Talking about.
Under B. No, actually, number B, you can look at those. Those are only if there was an inspection done prior. And how long is it gonna take you to get there? That one is usually left blank unless your client was proactive and actually got the inspection and compliance documentation done. So then you can skip that. Then you go down to the C, let's see. Let's see here. Go down to the different options under B, please. No, C, I think it is. C, under C. Under C. Somebody read that, please.
You're talking about that whole section where, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so under C, buyer and seller agreement regarding which party shall obtain compliance with applicable state or
Exactly.
local defensible space requirements. 1, buyer responsibility, no local ordinance. Buyer shall obtain documentation of compliance with the state defensible space law within 1 year of close of escrow.
Okay, what was the problem with that one? Does anyone catch no local ordinance in place? So that one doesn't apply. Let's go to the next one.
Or number 2, buyer responsibility, a local vegetation management ordinance in effect, which requires compliance as a result of a sale of the property. The local ordinance allows either seller or buyer to obtain documentation of compliance. Buyer shall comply with the requirement of the ordinance after close of escrow.
Okay, why doesn't that one apply? Because it says that I don't know.
You need to move to the next page.
No, is that it? No,
No.
number
Hold
2,
on.
number 2.
Scroll down, Rhett.
Next page.
No. Yeah, I guess, I don't know.
Okay.
No, just scroll down.
Yeah,
There you go.
there you go. That's perfect. Okay, so here the problem is that it has to be done prior to close of escrow. That's not the case. That doesn't apply, and buyer's not going to be responsible in the places that it will be required. Okay, it's going to be the seller. Okay, let's try the next one. We're under C3.
C3, buyer responsibility, local vegetation management ordinance in effect, which does not require compliance as a result of the sale of the property. Buyer shall obtain documentation of compliance with the state defensible space law within 1 year of close of escrow.
Okay,
Or
that-
if applicable, comply with the local requirements after close of escrow.
right. So how does that sound, guys?
Buyers.
Buyer responsibility after close.
Right. Doesn't that sound pretty good? It does fit the parameters because there is a local ordinance. Buyer is agreeing to do this. And it's not required as a close of escrow. But here's the thing. It's probably the best way to deal with this because number one, there's no enforcement. So if buyer agrees to get through escrow, remember he has up to a year to get it done after close of escrow. No one's going to knock on the door and say, did you do this? What's going to be the key is that when it resales, what requirement documents are you going to have to deal with? Because no one's going to go after you if it's not done. And don't let inspection people say, let me see it, because they have no right to. there are thirsty inspectors out there saying, well, we have to come in here and do this. No, you don't. No, you don't. Okay, so that sounded pretty good, right? So that's C3, guys. C3. You good? Let's go to the next one.
Next one, seller responsibility. Local vegetation management ordinance in effect, which requires compliance as a result of a sale of the property. The local ordinance requires seller to obtain documentation of compliance prior to close of escrow. Seller shall obtain document of compliance prior to the time for the buyer's final verification of condition.
So Truckee and Paradise are the only two counties in California that do require this and has to be checked off like that, and the parties agree to that. That's the only one that requires the seller to be proactive, do this, get the inspection and documentation, and then have to deal with, if it's not in compliance, you know, who's gonna be doing and paying for the bringing in compliance, okay? So that's what that one is. What's the next one?
Seller responsibility, state or local compliance already complete. If only state law applies, seller has obtained documentation of compliance with state defensible space requirement within the last 6 months. For either state or local law, seller shall deliver documentation of compliance to buyer.
Okay. As far as that one goes, you're talking about a proactive seller anticipating sale, goes out, gets the inspection and compliance documentation. So then you would check that box. But that's only because they went ahead and do it. They don't know if the property's in compliance, only if they get the inspection and compliance documentation done. So that's the only time that would apply. If you have a seller doing, most of them don't. Most of them just leave it up to circumstance or you to be able to guide them.
So where does the seller go to get that information, the CV?
Okay, no, in our reports, there's a link for a state level inspection as well as the county city. And I'll show you where that is. And they can just click on that and boom, they have to do it in writing through a form. And then they get back usually in 24 or 48 hours to schedule it with you.
So then somebody has to go to your house, they has to be there physically to check.
Well, they don't have to, but they should. Somebody should be there, but they're gonna go out and do their inspection. And there are local agencies that have been deputized by CAL FIRE to be able to go and do that because everyone's so stretched and things have to get done in order to do that. Does that make sense?
So let's say if item 3 is checked by responsibility, meaning the seller will not required to do that, he just pass it over to the buyer.
Right, the buyer will be responsible. That's why C3 fits.
Yeah, that's better.
And that one,
Simple.
it says only 6 months, so is the report valid or
Wait,
the
you see-
certification
see
for
what?
6 months, or it has?
That the inspection report is only good for 6 months.
Okay,
So if it's done within the 6 months, you can use it.
okay,
If not, it has to be redone.
okay,
Okay, because things change.
yes.
You know, a vegetation grows. And you know, maybe you did something to the property that wasn't kosher, so to speak, and that could be an issue, okay? And then the last one,
Seller responsibility, agreement to obtain compliance. Seller shall obtain documentation of compliance and deliver to buyer prior to the time for buyer's final verification of condition.
okay? So what that means, again, seller proactive, seller take it on himself to get all the documentation, find out if it's in compliance. If not, then they're gonna be responsible to put it in compliance, which is an additional cost to your client. I don't know many sellers that want to pay out more money out of their pocket. I just don't.
If
But
you
that
choose-
would be the case.
If you choose C5, is there a California law that applies?
What do you mean? C5?
Because on C5, is seller responsible only if only state law applies.
Right,
So does California have any law apply for this?
yeah, it's AB 38. It's the AB 38 that says if a property's in a higher you know, if went during the sale of property, parties will agree if the property's in compliance by getting an inspection and compliance documentation. So I mean, it basically opens up who's gonna be responsible for it, and that's why. And there are California requirements. So there is local, and then there's also California requirement.
So
Yep,
the
question.
best bet is just check C.
C3, leave it to the buyer, just let them know, hey, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? You'll deal with it. The biggest part is gonna be making it safe for insurance purposes. But you're not gonna be required to, get an inspection at this point. The local vegetation ordinance and your insurance companies will be the ones that says, okay, look, you have some issues. And then they send you, I mean, I got it before, a notice saying X, Y, and Z has to be done before we consider you. Yeah, there's things in the title plan. Now, go ahead.
No, go ahead, no.
No, you're gonna say something.
Yeah, do you know how much they charge for the inspection by the church?
The inspections can be anywhere from the CAL FIRE is usually free, but I've heard as much as $250. Depending. Now, if they're in the area, it may be less, you know, when they're doing their inspections. But if it's not, then it could be up to $250, I heard. Okay. And that's just, you know, that you just pay for that. I don't know if you can do it through escrow, but I think it has to be paid as the service is rendered. Any other questions? Okay, so as we go down, the other parts deal with where's the inspection, where can we find the inspection report, and then, you know, who has it, who did it, all that kind of thing. And then underneath there, the parties sign, the sellers and the buyers sign. And it's an agreement. That's what goes into escrow after it's signed. Okay, next page, please. Okay, we are the only ones that automatically include a flood cert in every property, in every NHD report. We give you what the risk is on the property. If there was a flood, reevaluation of the area, who the parties are, and we work with a lot of lenders, and lenders need these things in order to assess risk. Okay. And what's the yellow part? Can you read the yellow?
Is building home in special flood hazard area zone containing the letters A or V, yes or no?
Okay, so those deal with the special flood. It also deals with the dam inundation. With a special flood hazard, you will require insurance. If it's a flood inundation, you may not require it. It's not a guarantee that you'll have to pay for it. It's a possibility. Okay. All right. Next page, please. Okay, and this is where we check off here. What does it say? The federal flood insurance is available. Okay, and we tell you what kind of policy. See, this one says regular.
Program.
Right,
Program.
or emergency program, so you have that in there. And then the yellow talks about buildings and mobile homes and special flood hazard areas. And then we talked about the zones again, A and B, yes or no, and then we check it out for you.
What's the difference between the regular and the emergency program for the flooding?
Emergency program would mean that there might be additional costs involved. That's what I think. Good. Next page, please. Oh, you gotta go. Okay. What time is it? Am I too fast? Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha. You go. Good luck. Okay, this is the thing that we just added. It is called the free instant hazard preview. No matter who you're working with, even if you have the listing and you just want to look and get a glance at what the hazards on the property are based on the energy statement, you just put the information in the screen and push start. Automatically, you'll get this in-out determinations for fire, flood, earthquake, fault, seismic hazard right there. So you'll know ahead of time, hey, consult the client, let them know that this may be an issue. We may have to get additional insurances, but know if you like this property and you really want to get it, that's what you do. Okay, but that's a brand new thing.
Is it on your website? Oh.
It is on our website. You just go to the www, you'll take one of these right here, www.snapandht.com, and then it goes right to the ordering page. It goes right to the ordering page, and then you just plug the information. You don't have to have an account, although you should get an account. Just put the information in the screen, APN or address, and then just could start. And right in seconds, you'll see the in-out determinations like you see on this screen right there. You see the in-out determinations. Okay? And it's free. You know, we want to help you out. Any questions? Next page, please. Okay. I'm going to go through tax really quick. The tax report has to contain Melrose and 1915 bonds. We've added all taxes on the property as well as Pace Hero, even though it's a loan, it's paid back through the taxes. And it's something that you can use when you take it with you on a listing appointment, because then you can ask questions and say, oh, I noticed you have solar panels. Do you know how much do you owe on that? Is it something you own or are you leasing? And if they say they don't know, you can say, hey, I have the information right here. If it's within 6 months, it may not be there, but after 6 months, it usually hits the information highway so that it's been registered so that we can put it in the report.
Is it the 1915 bond assessment?
No, that's something else. 1915 bond and the Melrose Roos are special assessments that have senior lien authority, which means that if they're not paid within 90 days, they can institute foreclosure proceedings, even if it's a small amount. Okay, so they have to be paid either before escrow or at the time of escrow, you should get it done.
But you said it's paid to that property taxes?
It's paid, the 1915 bond in Melrose is always paid as a property, as a tax. But Pace Hero, which is a loan, that's also registered through the taxes. That's paid through the taxes. Pace Hero, home energy loans, those are paid through the taxes. But 1915 bonds, there's a lot of them in Santa Clarita and newer areas. It started, I think, in 1982 for Melrose. 1915 bonds been around since the year 1915, where there was a group of farmers and they had to get work done. And they just decided, okay, we'll have a collection body that will collect the money when work gets done in there and we'll pay our share into there. And then they followed the properties because the farms are gone and now they're housing districts. Now, no money will show up, but it may still be in a 1915 bond. So we will tell you if it's in there and then give the amount if there is a charge for it. Melrose, and they both run from a beginning time to an ending time. But Melrose also can escalate up to 2% a year. It gives you purpose. It gives you the contact information to find out more about it, but all that stuff. But that's all in there. We also have a property tax estimator. I recommend you use the one on our website. It's called an estimator. You just follow the prompts, property address. You put in the price that it's closing and the month. And 1 to 2 supplemental taxes will appear, plus the full tax for next year. So it allows you, and why does it come up? Because after close of escrow, even though they have impounds, they're going to get a tax bill 6 to 9 months later. And they're going to call you and say, I have impounds. Why did I get this charge? Because that's the prorated after close of escrow, the amount that's due and owing at that time. That's what it is. And if they have questions, just send them my way. Okay, but that's what that's all about. Okay, and it is. Okay, now I'm going to talk quickly about the wildfire because we don't have a lot of time. It's an optional report. It is very detailed on wildfire risk. And we give you the, this is a satellite view of the property. Okay, and then go to the next page. It's $140. All the companies that are involved charging that. But one of the things, we're the only ones that allow you to bypass what's the roof type, what's the siding, and we go directly to Fortress Fire, processes, and then it comes back to you. Okay. All the others require you to answer those questions. We do not. Okay,
These, would, are these reliable when it comes for like the loan companies and all that? and when-
no, the only thing it does, it's a guideline for the homeowner to reduce forest fire risk. It does not guarantee insurance, but it is something that insurance companies look at. It does not, affect really loans, because they're still gonna go by, flood, which is one of their main ones, and they're gonna also deal with fire, if it's in a very high fire, as to whether or not they're gonna issue fire insurances, okay? Our pricing is different for you. The premium is $84.95, but the rest is the same. And when do you order them? We already talked about it. When do you order? When?
When do you order?
When
As
you
soon as you get the
listing, when
listing.
you get
As soon as you get the listing, or when you go on a listing appointment,
Yeah.
you're able to
Before
do
the
that.
listing and, yeah.
Exactly. Or you can do the hazard preview even before you get it, just to have an idea of what's going on with it. Now, the tenant flood report is required.
So
We're
to
the
get-
owners with the free ones. But
Sorry, to get before the listing, is just call you or order online?
you could do any kind, you can do it a number of different ways. If you want the special pricing, you have to come to me directly so I can make sure you get the pricing.
But
You
we
can just
cancel
email
it
me.
when we could get the listing. right?
What? You can get, yeah, exactly. Anytime you want to order it, but not through escrow. Send it to escrow, tell them I already got it, but don't leave it up to them. They got a lot to do. And then, they may not order what you want. Maybe they get the standard and you should get the premium. Why get the premium? Because we're not in Missouri, the show me state, we're in California, the sue me state. And what does that mean? It means that, say there was a gas station there 40 years ago, and now it's a strip mall. And they didn't pull up the tanks, and contaminants ate through the container and moved into the groundwater. And then the groundwater is contaminated. When they go to dig a pool, they can't go forward. They now say, hey, it's your problem. You have to get it cleaned up. Would you have known about it? Probably if you got the environmental report. And once they sign off on it, they can't say, well, you didn't tell me about it. Well, you signed off. So, I mean, you're providing it to, that's just one of the things. And you have a major Superfund site right up here. It's a school, but it's hazardous materials, to human and animals, which means that it's monitored. A lot of times it's underground, groundwater, and they monitor it for contaminants and cleanup and a number of different things. So,
A
yes.
buyer got the report like this, and then 2 years down the road, they found out that is wrong, the report.
Say that again?
If the buyer get the report like this, and then later on, they found out there's something wrong on the report, it's not true, who's responsible?
Well, you're protected by our E&O insurance. It would be us that we'd be responsible and we'd step in the shoes to protect you. But I haven't heard that before. Because it's only good till the time escrow closes. Stuff can change. I mean, that's why you order another report every time escrow closes. You can't use the same report because we have to update it. So most likely that, if things change, they change. But at that time, when you close escrow, it's correct. It's up to date. So I mean, it's an unusual circumstance, but I guess it's possible, but I haven't heard of it. I haven't heard of that circumstance. But like I said, we have over $100 million more than all the other companies put together. Step in the shoes to protect you. Okay,
Yeah, so just to be on the safe side, we should recommend seller to use the premium, right?
or premium. I would get the premium every single time. Exactly. It behooves you. I mean, look, it's what, $20? It's not, I mean, actually, it's $10 different for you guys, but it's only $10 difference versus 20,000 because you got to get an attorney now because you didn't get all the information to them. You know what I mean? That's the key. You got to make sure that you're doing the best for your clients, but protecting all parties with information and material facts.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. Was it good? That's for you, my friend.
Okay.
Okay, so
Question, this is related to residential, what about land?
Land, you have to have it for too. Any sale of real property, mobile homes, co-ops. They don't have them here, but in the San Fernando Valley, it's a stock certificate and not a lease. And that basically, still has to have an NHC and tax report.
Yeah, okay, what about the price? Because I.
What do you mean the price?
For commercial land, because this.
Oh, commercial premium
Same price?
is gonna be the 99.95. Okay, which is normally 114. Okay, and our premium for you is 84.95. Okay, so spread the word that we're here to help. And like I said, you get me, I can answer questions. I can get on a three-way call with your clients. I can walk you through the FHDS card form. You're not to fill it out again. That's for your client, but you guide them to it. Say, this is the law. This is what we have to deal with now. Okay, I hope I helped. I hope it was good.
John, so basically, it's usually the agent, the
Oh,
seller's agent that.
yeah.
purchases it.
But what you can do, we're in the RPA. So you select us as, without a doubt, as when you get the RPA and you're listing it. On the buyer side, you can put us in as well. And the drop-down menu in the NHC statement page, and then put my name, check environmental, and if you want, you can even get the wildfire disclosure report. Okay, you can get that. It only benefits the buyer. It doesn't benefit the seller. And if it is found out that there are things that need to get done, then there's a negotiation as to who is gonna pay for it. And then the other thing is, like everything, it's negotiable. Seller can pay part, buyer can pay part. Okay, and you do have the checkoffs there, I know that. But I hope it was helpful, and like I said, I'm available to you guys. Just call me. I'm here to help.
Thank you, John. I have one.
You're very welcome.
I have one of your NHD disclosures that you ordered from.
Oh, great.
So,
Thank
I
you.
was going through all that stuff. Yeah.
Thank you. So if you, like I said, you have questions, I'm here for you. And, you know, we'll do more trainings.
Yes.
But thank you. Yes, sir.
I think we'll get a hard copy of that,
Of what?
of the, yes, the disclosure. So we can.
What
read it,
disclosure?
so we can
Oh,
read it
yeah.
out.
You just go on my website and push sample report.
Oh, okay.
There's the wildfire, there's the flood report, the renters report. All three are right there under samples.
Okay.
And you said we can register on the website, right? Is there?
You can register on my website, just click my name as your rep.
Okay, okay, perfect.
Yeah,
So
easy.
So when you register, what is the?
Register could be for placing orders. It could allow, yeah, basically placing orders, but also, you know, it's just, we now know you're in the system and how we can guide you. You know what I mean? You have questions, you can ask questions in there too, to my customer service. There's a spot for that. Oh, and the booklets. The booklets are at the bottom of the page. You don't have to be registered. It's under resources. Next to it is blog page, and there's great information like what's the difference between the California Fair Plan and private insurance. Those things you can share with your clients.
Okay,
Show them that you care,
yes.
right?
Yeah, that, thank you so much.
You're very welcome
Thank
anytime.
you for the pizza too.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Eat up. There's more. Take some home.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Take some home. Did you get one? Okay, great. Yeah, my info's at the bottom if you need to
Yes.
contact me.